Greetings, family. June Allen here from the Yard of Greatness at juneallen.net. And I teach sisters how to heal from addiction to self-hate with racial sobriety. Oh, I am so happy to see you today. I'm so happy to see you today. And today I've got a question. I'm answering a question today from somebody. Now, it was a great question, actually, by the way, and you'll see it in the title. What does self-love feel like? We hear people all the time talking about, oh, you have to love yourself. Do you love yourself? All this kind of stuff. But what does that actually mean in tangible terms? What does that actually mean? Now, this question is also, me answering this question is also inspired by the fact that it's Marcus Garvey's birthday on the 17th of August, which is Friday. And in true honor of self-love, as Marcus Garvey did love himself, I've created an e-guide with all things Marcus Garvey. So if you go to garvey.juneallen.net, you can download the e-guide. I'm going to be talking a bit more about Marcus Garvey in a minute. But yeah, so this broadcast is not only inspired by the question, but also the fact that it's to do with Marcus Garvey and self-love. So going back to the original question, what does self-love feel like? I had to think a little bit about this one myself, actually, so that I could articulate it in order to relay back, not just my thoughts on it, but just my experience of other people talking about it and stuff like that. So for me, and just from my experience, there's three things to actually one main thing, and then there's kind of three sub things kind of off that. So the main thing about self-love, what does self-love feel like, is being able to stand in the truth. Being able to exist in the world in your truth. So what do I mean by that? So this is where the three subheadings come in. There's three ways that you can answer that question. Number one, you have to be in a position where you're able to tell the truth about who you are. Can you speak the truth about who you are? Can you stand up in your family, amongst your friends, in your workplace, in society, against white supremacy? Are you confident enough? Do you love yourself enough to be able to tell the truth? And I'm not talking about being rude to people. And I'm not talking as well about making yourself unsafe around other people that just don't have the capacity for you to stand in the truth of who you are. But I'm talking about loving yourself enough to be able to understand what those things mean that I just said. Okay? Do you love yourself enough to be able to speak the truth about who you are? Tell those people the truth about who you are without apology. Because when you can tell the truth, there's a fire that kind of gets ignited in who you are, and nobody can put that out. Nobody can put that out, because you know that you need to, if anybody comes to you to try and put that out, or tries to tell you verbally something different to what you're speaking, you know that you need to put a boundary in with that person and say, actually, no, that's your experience, but that's not mine. Being able to say no to others about who you are. Okay? So you can tell others, thank you, but no thank you. That's one aspect of what self-love feels like. Number two, can you feel it in your body? If you're in a relationship with another person, a romantic relationship with somebody else, and you're getting to know that person, and you feel a certain way about that person, the way they look, the way they smell, the way they look at you, the way they, their little nuances, the way they dress, their swag. All of those things are going to ignite something in you about that person. You can feel it in your body. You feel it at soul level that that person means something to you. When you love yourself, you have those same feelings about who you are. And that's going to be hard for people to grasp that, because so many of us, our experience and our relationships around love are quite often external validation about the other person making us feel a certain way. When that person's not there anymore, we're lost. We're lost. But when you love yourself, you're not dependent on the other person to make you happy, because you feel whole enough as it is. That person is there to enhance your life experience, not complete you. That person is there to enhance your life experience, not to complete you. That's number 2. So the third thing about self-love, what does self-love feel like? And I kind of touched on it a little bit in number 1, but it's being able to take action. So you can tell the truth about who you are, number 1. Number 2, you feel it in your body because you have a relationship with yourself. And number 3, you love yourself so much that you can take action on who you are. You show up for yourself. You check in with yourself. And I know this is going to sound odd to people, because people are not used to having these sorts of conversations, but it's about asking yourself the same conversations that you would a loved one or a child. How are you feeling today? You good? You cool? Do you need anything? Do you need a drink? Do you need to eat? Do you need to sleep? Do you need a hug? Do you need to be heard? Do you need to be seen? Do you need to rest? These are all ways that you self-parent. Self-parenting, that's what self-love feels like. You feel nurtured. You feel nurtured about who you are. Now, when we're talking about Marcus Garvey in relation to self-love and truth, Marcus Garvey becomes part of this conversation when it comes to cultural self-love. Okay? Loving yourself as a Black person and not allowing white supremacy or anybody else who practices white supremacy to tell you who you are. That's what self-love feels like. Understanding that there are people in the world that have got opinions about who you are because they're practicing white supremacy, consciously or unconsciously, and for you to be able to stand in the truth of who you are and say, okay, well, that person is behaving a certain way, and that's nothing to do with me. That's to do with them. It's nothing to do with me. That's what self-love feels like. And it takes time to get to that point. It takes patience to get to that point. It takes self-compassion to get to that point. You have to be able to process all of the rage and the upset and all of the stuff that we've ingested over the years, the historical stuff that we've absorbed over the years. You've got to be in a position to be able to have processed so much of that stuff that what they say is nothing to do with you. To be able to just walk away from it and go, that's nothing to do, that's your stuff. You need to deal with that. Ain't nothing to do with me. That's what self-love feels like. Go to garvey.juneallen.net if you want to find out more about how you can love yourself culturally. garvey.juneallen.net. If you want to speak to me about any of the things that I've spoken about today, go to callme.juneallen.net. I love you. Big up. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.